What's holding you back? Smash through those walls. Imagine this. It's 2 a.m., you're sprawled out in bed, staring at the ceiling, daydreaming about that big goal you've been carrying around forever. You know exactly what you want, where you want to go, or who you want to be. But hold up. Why are you still stuck in the same spot you were 6 months ago? Ring any bells? Yo, what's good, you awesome people? Welcome back to Growth Vibe, the spot where we get real about the stuff that actually matters. I'm stoked you're here today because we're diving into the big question. What's really keeping you from living that dream life of yours? Let's keep it 100. We've all got stuff blocking our way. Every single one of us, yeah, even me, has something standing between us and our goals. But here's the tea. Those roadblocks, they're not as tough as they look. Most of the time, they're like shadows on the wall. They seem huge and scary, but once you shine a light on them, they're way smaller than you thought. Today, we're going to figure out what these barriers are, where they're coming from, and most importantly, how you can kick them to the curb and start building the life you really want. If you're ready to ditch the excuses and start crushing it, drop a big ol' like and join the Growth Vibe crew for more vibes to level up your life. Trust me, by the time we're done, you're going to see what's possible in a whole new way. Section 1. The invisible chains we put on ourselves. All right, let's kick things off with a story. Meet Sarah, a 28-year-old accountant who's got this big dream of being a travel blogger. She's got it all planned out. The website name, the social media game, even the first 3 countries she wants to hit. But every time she sits down to write that first blog post or book that first trip, something stops her. Her head gets flooded with thoughts like, who do I think I am trying to make money off traveling? Or what if I crash and burn and everyone laughs at me? Sarah's not alone in this. Most of us don't get stuck because of stuff like money, time, or lack of opportunities, even though we love using those as excuses. The real problem? The invisible chains we build in our own heads. These mental blocks come in all sorts of flavors. There's the perfectionist, who won't start unless everything's just right. There's the people pleaser, who's too busy living up to everyone else's expectations to chase their own dreams. And then there's the person who's so terrified of failing, they don't even give it a shot. Think about it. When's the last time you had a killer idea, but immediately hit it with a but? Like, I'd love to start my own business, but I don't know enough. Or, I want to get in shape, but who's got time for the gym? Or, I'd love to learn something new, but I'm probably too old for that. Here's the wild part. Our brains are wired to keep us safe, which means keeping us comfy. That little voice in your head going, this is too risky, or you're not cut out for this. It's not trying to mess with you. It's just trying to save you from getting hurt or disappointed. But while it's doing that, it's also holding you back from the good stuff like success and happiness. The first step to breaking these invisible chains is calling them out for what they are. Stories you're telling yourself, not the truth. Next time you catch yourself saying, I can't because, ask yourself, is this legit, or is my fear just running the show? Your challenge for the week? Grab a little notebook. Every time you catch yourself making an excuse or talking yourself out of something, just jot it down. No judging, just write it. The first step to changing is noticing what's going on. Questions to chew on. What's one dream you keep putting off, and what's the excuse you're telling yourself? When you think about taking a big step toward your goals, what's the first fear that pops up? Can you think of a time you pushed past fear and did something anyway? How'd that feel? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you go for?
Section 2. Fear, the ultimate shapeshifter. Fear's like a sneaky chameleon, man. It never shows up with a big sign saying, yo, I'm fear. Nope. It hides behind stuff like logic, common sense, or even some fake wisdom vibe. I was chatting with my buddy Marcus about his dream of starting a food truck. Dude's got killer recipes, years of cooking chops, and everyone's always like, man, you gotta sell this food. But every time we talked about making it happen, he'd hit me with some super reasonable excuse. The market's too crowded. I need to save more cash first. Maybe next year when things chill out. Here's the deal. Marcus wasn't lying. The market is tough. More money's always nice, and timing matters. But under all those solid excuses, straight up fear. Fear of doming, fear of actually making it, fear of what people might say, fear of ditching his boring but safe job. Fear loves to dress up as perfectionism. Ever start something, then drop it because it's not good enough yet? You know what I'm talking about. That book you've been almost done with for 2 years. That business plan that needs just a bit more research. Or that workout routine you'll start when your schedule's perfect. Let's keep it real. Perfectionism's just fear in disguise. It's not about having high standards. It's about being so scared of screwing up or getting judged that you'd rather do nothing than put out something less than perfect. Newsflash, nothing epic ever got made by someone waiting for the stars to align. Fear also loves to play the "I'm just worried about others" card. I can't quit my job to chase my dream because I've got a family to think about. Or I can't move to a new city because my parents would freak out. Look, I'm not saying you should be reckless or ditch your responsibilities, but sometimes what we call being responsible is just fear using our loved ones as an excuse. Here's a game changer about fear. It's not the opposite of courage. It's a sign you're on the right track. Think about it. You don't get scared about stuff that doesn't matter to you. That nervous buzz you feel when you think about your big dreams, that's not a stop sign. It's your inner GPS saying, yo, you're getting close. The goal isn't to wipe out fear. The goal is to feel it and keep moving anyway. Every successful person you look up to, they were scared at some point. The difference? They didn't let fear call the shots. So how do you deal with fear? First, call it out. When you catch yourself stalling or making excuses, hit pause and ask, what am I really scared of here? Get specific. I'm scared people will think I'm dumb is way easier to tackle than I just don't think it's a good idea. Second, grill that fear. Is it based on facts or just your brain playing tricks? If the worst case scenario went down, could you handle it? Spoiler, you're tougher than you think. Call to action. Pick one tiny step toward your goal that you've been dodging because of fear. Maybe it's sending one email, making one call, or signing up for one class. Do it this week, even if you're still shaky. You don't need to wait for courage. Courage is doing it while you're scared. Reflection questions. What fear's been secretly running your life? Where's fear been pretending to be all logical and practical? What's one small move you could make today that gives you the jitters? If you knew your fear was just trying to keep you safe, how would you calm it down and keep going? What would you do differently if you trusted you could handle whatever comes up? Section 3. The stories we spin in our heads. Every single one of us has a storyteller in our head. This storyteller's always cooking up tales. Why is this happening? What's it mean? Problem is, this storyteller doesn't always tell it straight, but it's so darn convincing we buy every word. Let me tell you about Jennifer. She was a kick-ass graphic designer at a marketing agency. For 3 years, she watched her coworkers climb the ladder while she stayed stuck. The storyteller in her head had a rock-solid tale. I'm not cut out for leadership. I'm just not the type to get ahead. They probably think I'm not smart enough for the big stuff. But here's the real deal. Jennifer was so good at her job that her boss didn't want to lose her from that spot. Her coworkers got promoted because they shouted their dreams from the rooftops and weren't as critical in their roles. It had zilch to do with Jennifer not being smart or capable. See that? Same situation. 2 totally different stories. Jennifer's storyteller picked a bummer of a tale that made her feel small and stuck. But she could have spun it differently. I'm so freaking valuable in my role that they can't imagine the team without me. Maybe I gotta speak up louder about what I want and show them how my skills can rock other areas. The stories we tell ourselves, they become our reality. Tell yourself, I'm not creative, and you'll stop hunting for cool ideas. Say, I suck at money, and you'll dodge learning about cash flow. Think, I'm too old to switch careers, and you'll never check out new paths.
Pause for a sec. What stories are playing on loop in your head? I'm not Tucky. I'm not a morning person. I'm awful at networking. Or I'm not the kind of person who... You fill in the blank. Here's a wild thing. Most of these stories aren't even yours to begin with. They're hand-downs from parents, teachers, friends, or just the world around you. Maybe a teacher once said you were bad at math, and now 30 years later, you're still dodging numbers like the plague. Or maybe your family always struggled with money, so you've got this story that people like us don't get rich. But here's the awesome part. You're the writer of your life. You can rewrite your story whenever you want. You don't have to stick with the old tale you were handed. You can pick a new one that lifts you up. This doesn't mean lying to yourself or ignoring real hurdles. It's about looking at your situation from different angles and picking the one that fires you up. Instead of, I bombed my last business, try, I got a ton of dope experience that'll make me crush it next time. Instead of, I'm too old to start over, go with, I've got wisdom and skills that youngsters can't touch. The trick is, catch yourself mid-story when it's dragging you down and ask, is this the only way to see this? What's another story that would make me feel stronger? Remember Marcus and his food truck dream? His story was, the market's too crowded and I don't have enough cash. But he could have said, the market's big enough for unique, tasty food, and I can start small and grow step by step. Same facts, different story, totally different vibe. Call to action. Jot down 3 limiting stories you tell yourself that hold you back from your goals. For each, write a new story that's just as true but pumps you up. Read these new stories to yourself every morning for a week and see how your mindset shifts. Reflection questions. What story about yourself have you been telling so long you forgot it's just a story, not the truth? Where'd that story come from? Did someone else plan it, or did you whip it up from an old experience? What could you pull off if you believed a new, awesome story about what you're capable of? How would your life change if you took the pen and wrote your own story instead of letting old ones run on autopilot? What's one kick-ass story about yourself you could start telling today?
Section 4. Knocking down the wall one brick at a time. Let's tear down that wall holding you back, one small step at a time. We've already pinned down what's blocking you and where those barriers come from. Now, let's get to the exciting part, how to break through. The secret? You don't need to smash the whole wall in one swing. Just pull out one brick at a time. A real story. Take my neighbor Carlos. At 45, he decided to run a marathon. The problem? He hadn't jogged farther than his driveway in 20 years. Couch to 26.2 miles? Sounds impossible, right? But Carlos was clever. He didn't start with the marathon. He just walked to the end of his street and back. Each day, he added a tiny bit more. 1 extra block, then 30 seconds of jogging during his walk, then a full minute. A year and a half later, I saw him cross the Chicago Marathon finish line, grinning ear to ear with tears in his eyes. He didn't bulldoze his wall. He chipped away at it, step by step. I call this the tiny steps trick. Instead of overwhelming yourself with a massive life change, start so small your brain doesn't even flinch. Want to write a book? Don't aim for a chapter a day. Write 1 sentence. Want to start a business? Don't quit your job. Spend 10 minutes researching your idea each morning. Want to get fit? Walk for 1 minute. Your brain loves sticking to what's familiar, even if it's holding you back. Try to change everything at once, and your brain goes, danger, abort mission. But tiny steps, they sneak past your brain's alarm system. Next thing you know, you've got a new habit. The best part about tiny steps? You can't screw them up. Who can't write 1 sentence? Who can't Google for 10 minutes? Who can't walk for a minute? And here's the magic. Every small win stacks up. When you nail a tiny step, you feel like a rock star. That feeling pushes you to keep going. Set your world up to win. You've heard you're the average of the people you hang out with. Totally true, but it's not just people. Your space, your habits, and what you see every day shape you. Want to eat healthier? Don't count on willpower. Set up your kitchen so a salad is easier to grab than chips. Want to read more? Put your books front and center, not buried in a closet. Want to work out? Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Choose your crew wisely. If you're chasing a big goal, like starting a business, but your friends just complain about their jobs, that vibe will drag you down. You don't have to cut them off, but you do need people who get your vision. Join online or local groups obsessed with your goal. Find mentors who've already nailed it. Surround yourself with folks who see how awesome you can be. Call to action. Pick one barrier you want to crush. Find the smallest step you can take towards your goal, so small it's laughable to skip. Commit to doing that tiny thing every day for a week. Watch how the momentum kicks in. Reflection questions. What goal feels too huge to tackle right now? How can you break it into small, easy steps? What can you change in your space or routine to make winning easier? Who in your life cheers for your dreams, and how can you connect with them more? What's one tiny step you can take today to get closer to your goal?
Section 5. Your fresh start kicks off right now. Yo, this is it. Your moment to shine. Those fears, excuses, and stories holding you back? Done. No waiting for tomorrow or the perfect time. Start now. Here's the deal. You don't need permission to change your life. No big bucks, no fancy degree, no extra time. Just say, I'm going for it. Meet Sarah, a mom who started selling homemade cakes from her tiny kitchen with just a phone and idea. No money, no time, no clue how to market. But she decided to start where she was. Now, she's got an online bakery with customers citywide. Did she have a grand plan? Nope, just a cake and a belief, I can do this. Truth bomb? Barriers are only as big as you make them. When your dreams outweigh your fears, the world starts working with you. Opportunities pop up. People show up. It's not magic. It's what happens when you move. Breaking through barriers is daily work. Some days you're unstoppable. Others, fear creeps in. That's okay. It's human. The difference? Winners keep going, scared or not. At Growth Vibe, we've helped tons of people grow. And here's what we've learned. The biggest hurdle is fearing success. Success means change, and change means leaving the old you behind. But on the other side, a version of you ready to rock the world. Every person you admire started where you are. Big dreams, tons of questions, a little fear. Their secret? They said, let's do this. The world needs your spark. Your dreams aren't random. They're your guide to making a difference. Every day you stall, the world misses out on you. Real talk, what are you waiting for? What needs to change for you to believe you deserve your dream life? Spoiler, nothing. The courage, creativity, and grit, it's all in you. Big move. Take one tiny step today. Send a text, jot down an idea, make a call. Just do something. Your future self is counting on this moment. Think about these. If you knew your dreams would come true, what would you do today? What mark do you want to leave on the world? Picture yourself a year from now, past your barriers. What's that you saying to you now? What's worse, trying and failing, or never trying? Your barriers don't define you. How you tackle them does. Your dream life is just past your fears. At Growth Vibe, we're cheering you on because we know you've got this. Go for it. Step by step, day by day. If this fires you up, tell us in the comments what step you're taking. We're pumped to celebrate with you.